Sony is making the biggest mistake they've ever made with PlayStation, bro. Now, before anybody starts typing in the comments what I'm about to say, yes, I know some of it is not officially confirmed yet. It's all for speculation, but a lot of the stuff is confirmed. And if the rumors are true about Sony releasing the PS6 around late 2027, bro, and if Sony keeps their ground and is still saying we're going to have a digital-only future, they are making the biggest mistake they've made in gaming history, bro. And here's the crazy part. I'm saying that's to someone who's going to get a PS6 at launch regardless, but hear me out. It's only for the exclusives, and y'all are gonna see why that's such a big deal that I'm only getting it for the exclusives now and not third-party games later in the video, bro. Trust me, it's still gonna impact them. On top of that, I've also owned the PS5 since launch, bro, so I'll be there for the PS6 at launch just for the exclusives because I love PlayStation exclusives. But that doesn't mean that I cannot criticize things that the company does that hurts their customers and the player base, bro, because this is bad what they're doing. And my first problem off rip is the release timing, gang. If the PS6 really comes out in late 2027, as someone who had a PS5 since launch, that is still way too early, bro. I feel like the people who want a PS6 in 2027 forget what the PS5 generation actually looked like, and I'm saying this from experience. The launch itself was absolutely exciting. Everybody wanted one, but after that, the only time we had a boatload of exclusives for the PS5 was when the PS5 first launched. After that, the first couple of years were really dry when it came to first-party exclusives, y'all. The PS5 launch had Deathloop, Godfall, Sackboy Big Adventure, Miles Morales, Astro's Playroom literally came with the console, Demon Souls, and Returnal. Basically 7 exclusives at launch, bro. Now, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong if one of those aren't exclusives, but damn near all of these were marketed on PlayStation as exclusives, bro. 7 at launch. Guess what happened after that? Fast forward to 2022, I ended up spending way more time on my PC because there were more games that interested me over there than there were exclusives that interested me on PlayStation, y'all. And again, the only reason there were more games that interested me on PC than my PS5 was because the PS5 was lackluster when it came to exclusives. Why would I not play a third-party game that will run better on my PC? You see what I'm saying? The PS5 didn't really start feeling like the PS5 until way later in the console generation. For the first few years of the PS5, developers still had to support the PS4, bro. That meant a lot of games couldn't fully take advantage of what the PS5 was truly capable of. It wasn't until the beginning of 2025 that we started seeing developers leave the PS4 behind and make more games specifically built around the PS5 hardware, y'all. And again, I've said this in multiple of my other videos, but I have to say it again. Most people overlook the fact that a lot of people couldn't even get their hands on a PS5 at launch. I was blessed because I kept refreshing the Walmart page to secure my pre-order for the PS5. That's why I've had mine since launch. But the reason I'm telling y'all I was blessed enough to have it was because a lot of people couldn't get it because of scalpers. The PS5 shortages, number one, and the console was super hard to find, and the only way you could get a PS5 at launch is if you paid double or triple the price, bro. My friend had to literally pay triple the price. He paid $1,500 just to get his PS5, not even at launch. It's damn near at launch, but he got it in December time for Christmas. $1,500 for a fucking PS5, bro, because of how hard it was to even get one for a retail price. And if you weren't willing to pay that amount for a PS5, bro, then most players who weren't willing to pay that amount, which was majority of the PlayStation community, didn't get their PS5s until 2023 to the beginning of 2025. Because there is proof. The beginning of 2025 is when most PlayStation users across the whole PlayStation network are finally on the PS5, bro. And so this is leading me back to if Sony releases a PS6 in late 2027, that means a huge portion of their player base only got about maybe 3 to 4 years to really experience what the PS5 generation could become. Realistically, only 2, because they weren't really making games and designing games around the PS5 hardware specifically until early 2025. So if it comes out late 2027, really only 2 years, y'all. That's definitely not enough time to experience the actual console life cycle, y'all. And again, majority of the console life cycle was spent waiting for them to stop making all their games cross-gen, bro. Now let's talk about the biggest issue of them all, bro. They no longer want to support physical games. This is the part that is worrying me the most about PlayStation as a brand, as just people just loving the brand, using the console. It worries me the most about how it's gonna look in the future, bro. Sony has clearly been moving towards digital purchases over the years, bro. We've been seeing this coming. The PS5 already had a digital only edition. The PS5 Pro doesn't include a disc drive by default, and so that makes me believe if Sony ends up deciding that the PS6 should just be a digital only console, that is a huge mistake. Because as y'all know, and y'all know I'm heavy on physical over here, physical games still matter. When I buy a physical game, I actually feel like I own something, and not just feel like I own something. I actually own the game. I could put it on my shelf. myself. I can lend it to a friend. I can even sell it later if I want, if I end up not liking the game and want my money back. Now, even though I don't do this because I don't like buying used shit, you could buy used games and save money if you want to save money that way, bro. In short, there's something real about really having that disc in your hand, bro. That's one of the reasons why when I switched over to console again, what kept me on console was I could buy a lot of games physically, whether it's third party, whether it's a first party game, didn't matter. I'm able to own the game physically, bro. But as we all know, you guys probably, if you didn't know, are now finding out, if you buy a digital game, you're just buying a license that's tied to your account, bro. And I understand you're getting convenience. That's great, bro. You don't have to wait for the package to ship. You want to get a physical game and wait for it to come to the house. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to go outside to go get the game and then drive all the way back to the house. Digital just right there, boom, bam, bop. But it's different when you actually own the game, bro. Again, I'm gonna use more examples. What if your account gets hacked? If your account gets hacked, you can't get that account back. All the games you have digitally is gone. All that money, gone. You got to buy all those games over again. But me, with a bunch of physical games, if I get my account hacked or something happens to my account, I'm Gucci in the coochie. I'm gonna have all my games still. I just have to create a new account and I'll still have basically all my games. But if I had digital, which is way less games I had digital, I would just only lose those games. But even still, I could buy those games back for a cheaper price than I originally bought them for physically because they're older games. That's what I'm saying is different when you actually own a physical copy of a game. And here's another concern I have. If the PS6 doesn't support physical disc, what happens to the people who built a huge PS4 and PS5 library, bro? I don't mean digital library, I mean physical libraries, because there's a lot of people who have a lot of physical games. Do those discs just sit on a shelf forever? We have to keep using old hardware to play those games? That's not a future I want to see at all. To me, one of the biggest things that has always made console nice to me, bro, was the fact that you have a choice. If you want digital, cool, you could buy digital on your console. But if you want physical, cool, you could also buy physical games through your console because it has a disc drive. Nobody loses. Whatever you prefer, console has to give to you. That's what made console gaming different for me, bro. Look at the Nintendo Switch. One of my favorite parts about the Switch is I could just pop in a cartridge and instantly get to playing it, unless there's an update I have to do. But even still, it's optional. I could just be like, skip the update, go straight to the game. I can play the game. The whole games is usually on a cartridge, bro. There's something satisfying about actually inserting your game and knowing it's yours. That feeling should not disappear. And honestly, bro, even though we know these companies don't listen to the community, I hope Sony really does listen to the community on this one, man. Because I don't think removing consumer choice is progress. That is actually the complete opposite, bro. Again, I'll probably buy a PS6 day one. I just need to play them exclusives so I can also play that on stream for y'all, bro. But I also want that future to respect who's been supporting the PlayStation brand, bro. Keep giving us amazing exclusives. Keep supporting and upgrading the hardware. Don't take away the thing that made consoles feel like consoles for decades, bro. Hey, but what would y'all do? Are y'all gonna buy a digital only PS6? Or do you think physical games still matter to you and you would be heavily against that, bro? And with that being said, y'all, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, you feel what I'm saying? More content on the way. Stay tuned because I got something else to talk about, you feel me? Like, look, I'm gonna see y'all, bro. But till then, stay safe, y'all, because I'm out here, y'all, for real.